Let me just give you, these presidential debates help to define our party. My model is my dad, who left the Marines after World War II, came back, worked for a year as a volunteer for the Republican Party, never asked for a job, never asked for a position, but only wanted to help our country and asked me every day while he was alive, what'd you do for America today? That's my model of a Republican.
Thank you, Congressman. Governor Romney, your aides say you see ending abortion as a two-step process, rolling back Roe v. Wade, which would leave it legal in some states, and then a constitutional amendment to ban it nationwide. If abortion is murder, how can you live with it being legal in some parts of the country, and for how long could you do so?
Well, I think all of us, I believe almost all of us in the room would say that we'd love to have an America that didn't have abortion. But the truth of the matter is that that's not where America is right now. That's not where the American people are right now. And so I'd like to see Roe v. Wade overturned and allow the states and the elected representatives of the people and the people themselves have the ability to put in place pro-life legislation. And of course, it's our aspiration that at some point we'll see a nation that doesn't have abortion. But until that time, I certainly believe that allowing states and citizens and their representatives to fashion their own laws to protect the sanctity of life is very, very important. I recognize that for many people that is considered an act of murder to have an abortion. It is without question the taking of a human life, and I believe that a civilized society must respect the sanctity of the human life. But we have two lives involved here, a mom and an unborn child. We have to have concern for both lives and show the expression of our compassion and our consideration and work to change hearts and minds. And that's the way, in my view, we'll ultimately have a society without abortion.
Governor Huckabee, do you see any real difference between Governor Romney's willingness to allow legalized abortion in some states and Mayor Giuliani's support, effective support for a woman's right to choose?
Wendell, I'm going to let them sort out whatever differences they have. I would love to see us have in this country what I helped lead in our state in Arkansas, and that's a human life amendment to our state constitution, Amendment 65, that says that we believe life begins at conception and that we ought to do everything in the world possible to protect it until its natural conclusion. And that means that we truly value and respect, elevate, and celebrate every life. The reason this country has been extraordinarily interested in what's going on to those minors out in Utah is because even though we don't know them, they represent us in the sense that they are human beings and we don't know their fate. We need to show the same kind of respect for life, whether a child is in the womb or whether in a coal mine or in a long-term care facility. It's about the fact that in our culture, the greatest testament that we can give is that we have an undying respect for every human life as having intrinsic worth and value.
Thank you, Governor. Mayor Giuliani, Senator Fred Thompson, and we do wish he was here, says the Virginia Tech tragedy might have been lessened if some of the students had been allowed to carry guns. He also says he never felt safe in your city because of its gun control laws. What do you have to say to him about either of these assertions?
Well, I would say to him the FBI would disagree with that. New York City was, during the years that I was mayor, the safest large city in the United States. In fact, in 2000, which was one of the last years that I was mayor, it was 191 for crime in the country. For example, in Boston, there was a 59% greater chance you'd be the victim of a crime than in New York City. In many other cities, there was 100 to 300% greater chance that you'd be a victim of a crime than in New York City. One of the things that I accomplished as mayor of New York City was the impossible. I took a city that was the crime capital of America, and I made it not only the safest large city in America, I made it safer than 189 small cities. So, I mean, people have their right to their own feelings. The reality is he was safer in New York than just about any other city in the United States after I was mayor for about 3 or 4 years.
And the idea of letting college students carry weapons?
I think states have a right to decide that. I mean, states have a right to decide their gun laws. The Second Amendment grants you the right to bear arms. We have a federal system. A lot of these issues work in America where we have people of different views and different conscience because we are a federal system. We allow states to make different decisions. The focus of our law should be on criminals. That's what I did in New York City. I reduced shootings in New York City by 75%. And I did it by focusing not on guns, but on criminals, putting them in jail for long periods of time when they committed crimes with guns, and it worked.
Congressman Paul, another gun issue for you, if you will. You have said that the 9/11 attackers might have had second thoughts if they'd felt that some of the passengers aboard the airplanes might have been armed. We have seen air flights diverted because people heard Arabic on planes, because they heard Muslims praying. What do you think it would do to the travel industry of this country if passengers felt others were carrying guns aboard, sir?
Well, first off, you're quoting me incorrectly.
I'm sorry?
I said the responsibility for protecting passengers falls with the airline, not the government, not the passengers. The airline's responsible for the aircraft and the passengers. If we wouldn't have been dependent on the federal government to set all the rules, which meant no guns and no resistance, then the terrorists may well have had